happy tone right here. But yeah, so basically Jorge today is, first of all, a friend, a consultant, a teacher, a director of master at the Barcelona's most prestigious universities for engineering and design, where I had the privilege to meet him. His experience, his expertise and leadership have made obviously significant impact in the fields of education and innovation. Jorge is also the founder of the Design Thinkers Group in Spain, a very multinational group, and a dynamic community dedicated to fostering creativity and solving complex problems. His mentorship has guided many, as well as me, and his approach to design thinking has inspired countless individuals to see the world differently. So today, Jorge will share his journey filled with experiences and insights. He will demonstrate how everything in life is connected, providing us with a deeper understanding of relationships that shape our world. And please join me in giving a warm welcome to Jorge Rodriguez. Yay! He's in you right now, Jorge. Thank you very much one more time.
Thank you, Pedro. I'm just happy to share. As you know, I'm always happy to share. I'm going to share my screen. Thanks everybody for attending today. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I wanted to just make a more informal and casual, maybe sharing anecdotes about how funny is life in terms of everything you do end up um, having a consequence. Every single action you do and every single choice you do um, lead you somewhere. The thing is that we're almost never aware of where we're going, and we make these decisions with a very short sight. Like we make it day by day decisions, and we build the path almost blindly. It's like we do this and do that and we are creating a path, but we're not really aware of the path we're creating. Sometimes we take big steps or smaller steps, and they all, create this thing. So I'm 55 years old now, and now is the time when you look back and realize, oh, everything was connected. Everything I did happened for a reason, and I'm here and I'm not anywhere else because all of those things and mistakes and choices and things that we do in life. So I wanted to share with you this, small phrase because I do believe that uh, systemic thinking is real. Like it's more real than anything else in the world. The universe is connected, and we are connected to the universe, and every single thing is connected, and we don't know it or we ignore it. So that's the main like message today. So this is and one key, I know probably not all of you are my age, and I'm the older person in the room. Uh, Maybe one key I have discovered is that you need to look forward, but you need to look back and forward, back and forward, so you realize the path you're creating in life. And in this exercise, I told Pedro, I wanna create this timeline, this kind of looking back and forth, um, also to clarify my mind and to make sense of every single step that I've made. Because every time I'm invited to talk or to present something or to run a program or to make a project in a company or a government, everybody says different things about my background, and I'm always thinking, which is my background? really, right? If I'm in corporate environments, they talk about, those corporate achievements and projects and stuff, things like that. If I'm in a more in a government environment doing a project, and then they focus on that. But the truth is that everything we do in personal and professional life is connected, and that is what make sense of our purposes, our hopes, our goals. So that's what I'm trying to analyze here. So what I did was creating a very brief timeline from 2004 when I arrived to Spain until now. But this is very, very brief. I mean, of course, many other things have happened, right? But this is me clarifying my path in front of you. So you can probably clarify this too. I don't know if it helps. It helps. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. So well, for of course you don't know me. I'm a 55-year-old man. I was born in Colombia. Um, and now I live between Barcelona or Europe and Latin America, basically doing a lot of projects for different types of clients and programs. I do work a lot with international companies on one side, on the private sector, but I also work with governments, providing advice or creating programs or helping them develop public policy, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm going to start in 2004 because it's like a milestone in my life, right? So it's like the moment when I was living I'm in Bogota right now. I was living here in Bogota, and there is a point, you reach a point when you need a little bit more, right? Probably some of you have experienced that. You reach a point in a certain place or in a career or in a relationship where you need more, where you need to go further. But the context or the environment, the place is already done, right? So some of you may be there, some of you may get there soon, and you need to move. That's the point. That's the main thing here. You need to make a move. You need to disrupt yourself a little bit, right? And rethink yourself a little bit. So that's what I did in 2004. I had a company in Colombia. I was a teacher in a public university. I was quite young, and I was already needing like more, right? I was working for Time Warner here. I was doing production for HBO in Latin America, but that was like, okay, I've done this, I've done lots of things, I need more. So I start doing like a master's, like most people do, right? I need to change. I do a master's. That's the something that we all do. So I started a master's here, and then the second part of that master's was in Barcelona. So I was that for me that was great because it's like a breakthrough, a breaking point. So I took it, I did it, and then that's where a whole adventure starts, right? And that's exciting. So I think that when you feel that your life is not exciting, you need to move. You need to do something. You need to create a breaking point, like a tipping point. So I go to Spain to do this second part of my master's. I get married with a wonderful man. I have to say that in my romantic life, I was super disappointed. I had very bad relationships, and then I decided, okay, I won't have any other relationships anymore. I'll just, play around and dedicate myself to professional life. So that was the thing when I left. 1 year later, the decisions you make, you don't make them. Life also takes you somewhere. I meet this wonderful guy, and I get married in 2005, 1 year after I was there. So I was very happy, but at the same time risking everything because I had a position here as a professor, professor in a public university, very respectful, all those, like wonderful things that you think are achievements, but are just steps. Um, so I just abandon it and start an adventure with the love of my life. So that's how I that's how I work. So in the next years, lots of things happen because when you are in your own context, you're in your own ecosystem, you are familiar to it, you have a network of connections. I get to Spain and I only know him and the people I know at the university. So it's like a fresh start. And then you have to risk everything, right? You have to go through whatever. And that's exciting. It's also a lot of anxiety, right? So I'm going to the next. You can follow this this uh this presentation is a mirror board, so probably most of you know how to use it. It's the link is here. And then in the next years, I I start, first thing I start realizing my value as a professional, because in it's funny, but when you change your context, you are you, but then your value changes. Your value as a person, as a professional, really depends on the context where you are. So I start realizing my value as a professional. Together with my husband, we created this first company, and then suddenly we are like nominated to awards, doing lots of things that never happened before in my life in my country. So sometimes you just need to change the place where you are, so the perception of your value changes, right? You are the same person, but the way you relate to the context, to the people, the efforts you make, whatever you show to others changes. So that's very, very important. And that affects how you see yourself. So here we start this first company. So we start, like working a lot with a mixture between culture and market research and marketing and these type of things that nowadays are really, really common. And we were just starting to think about, like public events, like marketing space and things like that. So we start doing that. We get some awards. If you join the mirror board, you can go to the video and check it later or whatever. So I started becoming an entrepreneur in a very new place with rules I don't know anything about, and trying to make it work in a place that is completely new. So we both start, like doing things. And the funny thing is that when you do things in a place you don't know, you do a lot of mistakes, but you do a lot of new things that people don't do there. So those things are unexpected, right? And those things are very innovative, because the things that you do at home in other places are completely weird or completely attractive. So that's what we did. So I did what I knew that I was doing, when I was working with HBO in Latin America or here in Colombia. I would do them in Spain, and that was a different context. So daring to do the things that you think is very important, even though it's not the standard, the local standard wherever you are. Just make them. People will be surprised. Some people will be angry, of course. Some people will hate you. And so people will be surprised and will be delighted with everything you do. So that the first thing we do is this company, we start working. Then I start working as a consultant, is that was completely new for me. Normally, I was working for my own organization or for some other organization or government, but never work as a consultant. So I start, like working as a consultant for small companies. And then suddenly this university um, crosses my path. And as we were working a lot with culture, they have this idea of creating a program on trends, like understanding and analyzing trends. And I get together with a friend from California and we build the program. and we call it Cool Hunting Design and Global Trends. So it was a program about understanding the context, understanding the market. That was, I have to say, super useful for me at that point, that I was in a completely different context. So everything I do was providing me with information. And then we realized all these methodologies and techniques to do beyond market research, human-centered research, which is something that completely captured me and I'm still in love with today. So that was the first thing, and that was only because I was working with Sony Pictures, doing research about which languages would be like like a market niche. So Sony was trying to understand which languages would be a very specific market niche, and we were doing that. So that deals a lot with, of course, language and culture and lifestyle. So that's where how we went into these cool hunting and trends thing. So again, I was a professor in Colombia. Here, I go back to being a professor. I'm entrepreneur, now a consultant, and now starting again to be a professor in the academic life in a completely different location. So those are things I know how to do, but in a place I have no clue about, right? So all the things that I had inside me, the knowledge, the skills, they were still there and they were developing, but I was simply in a completely different context. So they developed differently. In 2010, after doing a couple of versions of a research program, the Cool Hunting and Trends program, I'm approached by this Dutch company saying, "Oh, this is very interesting what you do. We really like the your approach. Why don't you work as a consultant for us?" And I said, "Okay, more work, more money, like." So now I have like 3 jobs. Why not having 4 jobs? And this is the time of your life when you want to eat the world, right? So you go do everything. So that's fine. I go there. I join them, and after a year, they ask us, "Why don't you guys open the Hispanic market branch of Design Thinkers Group Global?" And we say, of course, we say yes. We create it. We start working with Spain, Latin America, but mostly they needed that. This I realized afterwards. They needed somebody to go to the places they didn't want to go. So I was going to Mexico, I was going to Colombia, I was going to Saudi Arabia, I was going to Africa because the Dutch people didn't want to go there. So I was the guy to send, to those weird and dangerous places to do the projects, and they would stay safely in Amsterdam doing the fun thing and making the money. And I was going, but the thing is that all these opened my mind so much, so much, that I started creating even more. So every mistake you do, like every random thing you do gives you things if you know how to catch them. That's the thing here. So I start having clients from a lot of different cultures, a lot of different ways of thinking, a lot of different approaches to business, and that creates anxiety. I have to say that that was very exciting, but also very anxious, because sometimes when you are in a place where you haven't been before, I worked in Saudi Arabia, not knowing anything about um, the Muslim culture or how to relate, like it creates anxiety, and you don't want to be rude, or you don't want to do mistakes, and you are there in a mission. So well, that creates anxiety, but excitement as well. So with all those things, the school asked me, as you are working internationally, as you know so much more, why don't we create not a postgraduate, but a master's degree? And I say, of course, I say yes. I say yes to almost everything. So I go, yes. And then we create the master's degree in research for design and innovation. And my idea, I was discovering the design thinking approach by 2011. Well, actually by 2010, when Design Thinkers Group approached me, I was starting, to really realize the power of it. So I mix it with the trends. I would mix it with the research, cool hunting research, design thinking, and then we start, in a very powerful combination of things in this program. And funny thing, that mix that I dare to do, because the school didn't really know what I was doing. They didn't really know. They just noticed that it was innovative, that it was high quality, and they just let you do, right? And that's the perfect thing. When your boss doesn't have a clue about what you do, but lets you do it, that's wonderful, right? Because you are free to do it and they don't bother you, they don't control you. So you can go as far as you like. And that was the situation there. So I was creating this strange mix between trends research and design thinking and human-centered design. And that was my making, right? Luckily, it worked. And luckily, it made sense to a lot of people. So the program started to take a lot of traction, right? Not only with students, but with companies. And funny thing, and this is a good thing and a bad thing. A funny thing, other universities and schools start copying, start uh, doing this copycat of parts of a program. So when people copy you, you're being successful. That's the thing. It's really annoying because you think I have worked so much to get this, and these people just make a random copy of my thing. But that means that you are being successful, that people value what you do and they want it for themselves instead of hiring you. They want it for themselves. Okay, so here, uh, this is a big realization, right? In the next stage, I'm going to go fast with this. It's like a boom, right? So we start doing a lot of, both in the company Design Thinkers Group, now Spain, and in the masters we start, it's like an expansion, right? So we start doing a lot of international projects, a lot of international workshops, teaching to a lot of people in corporate, government, and university environments. I think I made a lot of uh, miles with Iberia and American Airlines and all those airlines. I had like a lot of miles because I was going here and there, here and there, here all the time. And the master's program was also growing. So it's like there is a moment when you create things, uh, that there is an expansion, like an explosion, right? And if it clicks with the needs of the moment, it's amazing because you do lots and lots of things, right? But the bad thing here is that when you are doing a lot of things because you are being successful, you don't really have time to see and reflect, right? You don't really have time to look back and forth. You're just doing, you are on the doing every day, and it's restless, right? So that's the thing, because you need to be aware of where you're going and which things you're building. So this was from the 13th to the 16th. It was a very amazing time. We also created a physical space called La Innovation Kitchen, that you're going to have some news afterwards. And La Innovation Kitchen was like this space where companies could come, to blow their mind, change their mindset, a safe space for creativity, to make decisions, and also to learn, about human-centered design, design thinking, service design, many other things that you probably already been through, right? At this point, I have a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. I have responsibility to the university, responsibility to clients, responsibility to the physical space, employees, students, well, a lot of people, right? And that also uh, goes into you. So this is a point when I decide to start as as if it wasn't enough, I decided to start my PhD research, right? Because it wasn't enough. So I wasn't busy enough. So I start a PhD program. And here is where okay, things expand and expand. And then um, we have not only us at Design Thinkers Group Spain, but the whole group expands. So we have partners in Singapore, we have partners in Israel, we have partners in Africa, and then we start getting together. We start, doing a lot of work together, global projects together, which means a lot more of understanding. At this point, I do understand better the clients. I do understand better the way I relate to them. I do understand better how things work in corporate environments, in government environments, and in university environments. So the whole thing is a process of learning that you are never aware of, but you know that you know when you go and do it, right? So we are asked to do, I don't know, a project for the healthcare system in Zambia, and I didn't know anything about Zambia. I didn't know anything about the healthcare system, but still you go there, you know what's your role, you know what to do, and it works. So that's when you accumulate, work and knowledge, and then you have a certain seniority. That's what I call it. Some seniority. You have accumulated and created a system inside yourself. And then in 2020, like all comes COVID, right? So full stop to everything and full change to everything again. On one side, well, people are dying, right? Nobody knows what is happening and why. And then we need to start making sense of what is going to be the future, because at this point, many companies, many people, many governments have plans that are full stop now. So we create this project called Global Human Research to basically to understand the moment, basically to understand what was going on with the COVID-19, the pandemic, the the completely different way of life that we were going to have, and what was the future going to offer, right? Trying to we were in the trends business, we were in the speculative futures doing practice. So we were trying to realize, okay, what comes next? Where are we going, and how should we live and behave, right? So we created this global human research that was a global effort. And here you change your vision. We change the way we looked at the projects, at the companies, at everything. A funny thing here, we realize we want to work less, right? We realize it is too much. Everything is too much during COVID. Probably not only for us or for me, but for everyone. It's too much. And another important thing that happened during the COVID is that we realized the power of digital. Before that, everything and everything or most things were in person, right? Were interactions, were people talking to people, were physical reports, and COVID-19 showed us digital transformation in our face. So we have to transform everything into digital. We have to change the services to digital. We had to do the masters in a digital version. We had to provide support to clients in a digital way for almost a year. And this specifically for me, this was a breaking point for me, because I had already accumulated so much energy and excitement and things that I have these nervous breakdown. I was overworking. I was filling my time with work, very little time to rest, very little time to reflect, and I fall into medical depression, right? So measuring what we do is also very important. And I always tell people my age that the newer generations know it better. right? Millennials, centennials, Generation Alpha, they know that balance between work and life is essential, and fulfilling goals, personal goals, and commit to personal growth is essential. At this point, I didn't know it. Now I know it, and I want to work less each day of my life. So here I go into this medical depression, and to make it even worse, I have a trial against the university. The university changed dramatically the way they looked at the programs. Programs were really successful. We had a lot of people, we had big groups, we had lots of projects, relations with companies, and they realized, okay, this is a money machine, right? This is something that we need to go with it, but with fewer resources. When we did the digitalization of a master's, we didn't have any support from the university. It was like, okay, here's COVID, here's Teams, right? Go, do it. Transform everything magically with your magic wand into a digital program, into a long distance program. Deal with the people's frustrations, deal with people's expectations, and just do it. And then we started heavily complaining to that approach. So we had this confrontation with the university because we no longer agreed with that. We no longer agreed with the way that the program was being deployed, the resources that we had. We should have staff, or et cetera, et cetera. So we have this big confrontation, and we leave. We end up in a trial that we won, by the way, thanks to the government. We have interesting laws in Spain that help people do this. And then that's another milestone. It's like you have to go up, and then explode, right? To start again fresh. So this is another milestone. I had this milestone in 2004, changing my life completely, going to a different country. And here I had another milestone, like this cycle is over. Life telling me this cycle is over. Go somewhere else, right? You need to leave this. You need to start fresh. So we start fresh, and we convert the all the 12 years of experience of running projects, running the masters, running clients. We transform it into a innovation certification method. That is what we are still building today. So I'm invited to Kazakhstan to a very big event where people from learning and development around the world get together to discuss what is the future of learning, how can we improve the way people learn in organizations, learn in universities. And then there we present our method, all the things that we did during the last 12 years before. And they tell us, you need to create a certification about this, right? Both the organization of the event and people in the audience when we were presenting, when we did, they said, I want to get certified using this. And we basically have like two things that are relevant when you are thinking innovation. One is, of course, all the methodologies, the technical part of it, but then the transformation of your mind, the transformation of your mindset. And that means behavior, that means understanding of the world, understanding of your own life, understanding of others, right? Other people's lives and ways of working. So we create this whole scheme, and then we are working with it with several companies and universities to help them, provide these skills, these abilities uh, to their staff and to their students, right? And now we are in the present moment, so I didn't want to go too long with this. This is 12 to 2024. We are changing again, like we are morphing again, like Innovation Kitchen, that was first a physical space, then a digital space. Now is a community, right, of innovation. We have redesigned our logos that connect more with the things we do and with the way we think. And this year we're going to transition from Design Thinkers Group Spain to a new brand called Los Rethinkers. So we're creating this family of brands. We're still part of a group, but we believe design thinking and the design thinking mindset has evolved in all these 15 or 20 years that are happening, that we need to expand again. So we are really believing in rethinking things. We need to rethink the world. We need to rethink the business. We need to rethink our lives. We need to rethink society. And that's the future we see now here. And that's all I have for you today. I think I have another last slide. That is this. That means everything in life is related. Everything you do and every action you take, every decision you take, takes you somewhere that you don't really know where you are. Yeah. Until you look back and then you realize the path. In futures, in speculative futures and in future scenario design, that's called backcasting. So you understand from the present moment or a future moment everything you have to do, to get there, right? So everything you do, your fears, your hopes, your talents, you carry with them, and they are you. And that's the only thing you have in the life and the only thing you have in the world, because you can get things, you can lose things, you can go up and down, but you only have what is inside of you, your experience, and the things you build yourself, right? And that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. I don't know if anyone has any question, any comment.
You can
Oh,
explore the videos here if you like.
on the link to the Miro board. I have one, Jorge, which you shared a lot of experience and a lot of project focus experience as well. So I think my question here for us to kind of understand is like, what was the client that you felt that most, the client or the project that mostly you felt that you were generating impact on the people that you were understanding or doing the consultancy or designing for, and by developing or by impacting these people that you were designing or understanding for, you were as well impacting the client. What was the project that you felt that you were creating that much impact on people and therefore on the clients, and why, and how that happened as well?
Well, there are many projects in that way,
Yeah, no, if you had to pick
and
one.
mm, no, that's really difficult, because the more you work, the more realize the type of work you want to do. And when you have that clear in your mind, they just come. There's something we have never done business development or sales, never. Things come to us, and they come to us because of other things that we do, right? So we do a project, somebody in that project change to another job or institution, and they say, hey, Jorge, come, I need you here because we did this thing before and I would really like to make this with you, right? So that's how things happen. So first we did a lot of corporate world, like a lot of big companies looking for clients, and the innovation at that moment, like think about 2012, or I don't know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Innovation was a thing, that today is a different thing. And the more we work on government projects, global projects, and projects that have impact. For example, we started working with Susan G. Komen Foundation, that is a foundation in the United States that works with corporate money to create awareness about breast cancer. So we did that in Zambia, Panama, Colombia, very different places. And from there, other things related to healthcare came, right? And the more you do, the more value you give them. We did this project with the government of the United States here in Latin America about access of women to commercial funding. So it's about giving women the power, the economic power that they have been denied for years in the financial system. So that's really meaningful. And every time you see how those projects unfold, we did that like probably 4 or 5 years ago, and today people still tell us, oh, we did this, and this is the stage where things are. So it's not really the project, but the impact of the project. We did you were involved in that. We did the human rights for the Colombian government, the office of a president and other things. We did 2 years of training public servants about a new vision for human rights, culture about human rights. And now you can see it on the streets, and people still download the book we made today, like 12 years ago. So all those is more the impact than the project itself. Some projects have no time, they happen and they disappear, but some projects go a long way in time, and 10 years later you see the development, and that's the exciting thing. Not the project itself, but the consequences. We did another project with the city council in Barcelona, for example, that was about seniors isolation. That was 2016, something like that. And today, that's still running in medical centers, public medical centers in the whole city, and a lot of people have that. So that's what really thrills me, right? Seeing the consequences of what you do. Maybe you don't see it right away. You see it maybe months or years later, but that's really exciting. I did it. I made something. There's people doing that. And another thing that really, really is exciting is to see people like you in companies like this one doing things like this. That's part of our impact too. And every time we see all other students, doing projects here and there, that's super rewarding for us. So that's really fulfilling. So, but you don't see the impact of the things during the project. Almost never. Almost never. You see the things months or years later. So I think that my favorite project is probably still to come.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a problem that the companies also have, is they want to see based on evidences how much impact, especially on digital products, how much impact the innovation or the recommendations or the consultancy or design, whatever the consultation, that work that we're
Yeah.
doing is generating on a business. Because some of these more cultural changes on organizations, especially governmental, you have to design for, like we can see that on NHS, even though we're kind of doing that for digital products, and more people here work on NHS on this call, and they kind of probably they agree or not. But when you're designing for a big like a country, the changes it depends on the scope of what you're designing, but the changes don't happen. That doesn't happen. Do not happen right away. Right, it takes time to see the evolution of it, and especially in cultural and changing habits and depending on the context as well, the cultural context that we're talking about. One thing is designing for Colombia, another thing is designing for UK, depending on what. But it's interesting.
It takes time, and sometimes it is frustrating that you don't see results right away, right? Or next month. And sometimes even what you do, people are against. I have had to fight to defend things that need to happen, that I know need to happen, and people are against. You have resistance. And then, I don't know, 6 months later, they realize they didn't need to make resistance. They needed to collaborate. So a lot of things that and then you have to be really stubborn and believe in the things that you're doing. So you are stubborn, and you know that what you're doing is going to happen, right? and defend that and really argue about that. Because if you easily quit or you easily go away, impact won't happen. So you have to be stubborn. And then you can see people change their attitude towards you, and people change the way they accept those processes. So, for example, with change management in companies, that is a classic thing, right? People resist change. People are willing to do the same things, that they are lazy to change, lazy to, right? But then when it happens, they are like, oh, Jorge, I love you. Thank you. No, these things are like that. So you have to be
Yeah.
really stubborn, hard skin, and say, no, this is going. And I know when I'm telling you this, and go ahead, right? Be stubborn. Uh, People may be against you, ignore them.
Yeah, sometimes companies want the digital transformation, but they don't have the structure in order to make it happen, right? So they don't want the
Or they don't want to
transformation,
spend the money for it, right?
or they don't want to spend the money for it. Yeah, it's cool. Anyone want to add anything on top of what we're just discussing here? Any comment? Let's stop the recording now already.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you, Jorge.